Good morning, good afternoon, or good day, whatever time you might be tuning in. If you're listening on the radio, good morning to you. We got Dan and Miss Anika Jones here today.
Hey-o.
Howdy.
And another episode of Graffiti Park Radio. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Trent Larson. How's it going, brother?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it is our pleasure. It is our pleasure. So we got a myriad of different questions to throw your way, maybe stump you, maybe not. What have you been working on this week?
This week, just been out doing stuff for EDC, just kind of the boring little touch-up stuff. Little spruce it up here, paint a little wood grain, just kind of make it shine again.
Nice. And you've been doing that for a while now, yeah?
Not this particular gig, but working for EDC in the past, yeah.
Okay.
Doing a stage, the arena, like a stage arena decoration, I guess you could call it.
And for listeners that don't know what EDC is, they don't know anything about the setup, tell them about it.
Well, EDC is the Electric Daisy Carnival, the big kind of rave festival that happens here every year out at the racetrack. So they have, I don't know how many it is this year, like 10, 12 stages. The bigger stages always have stage crews and artists that develop and design them. So sometimes they pay us to put graffiti or art on there.
How did you get into that?
That particular?
Just staged, helping with the stage design or any of that?
The head of my crew, Skell, he just happened to be who he is in the city, and Pasquale, who was the head of EDC at the time. I guess they had some need for the people they were using. They kind of let go for the time, and then he just happened to be there. And I think the first year we stumbled into it, it was small pay. Here, we'll buy your paint, get down on the thing. And since then, for like 12, 13 years, they loved what we did, and just got awesome. to go to town every year. It just got bigger and better. And
how long of a process is that? Obviously, it's this weekend, or if you're listening, it's the weekend in May at some time, and we're recording this on Wednesday. So how long does that take you?
It takes us usually 4 weeks. That's about the time they give us, the maximum time, and we have to pull off the miracle of 2 stages sometimes in 4 weeks. But yeah, it's been.
So do you guys do like a walk through and see everything that needs touched up, or do they give you a punch list? Or?
Right now, yeah, it's like a punch list, or the lead artist will get a walkthrough and kind of know what to do. I'm not the lead artist on this gig this time, but when it comes to doing like stage painting or arena painting, they give us a mock-up, and we kind of do it all virtually in our mind and kind of have to develop that as we go. But right now, what I'm doing, they have, and once they build it, they see what's wrong, and then it's kind of, itemized. And
well, tight, man. So that's what you're doing now. We're going to take it way back. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into art? Where are you from? The origin story of T. Larson Art.
I am from Orange, California. I didn't live there long. We moved when I was young, but a little bit in Colorado, and then we moved to Phoenix, Arizona, where I grew up. Okay. So, I mean, it's kind of downwind of the culture from LA, but graffiti was what I started doing in 1993. I think that really I've always been artistically inclined, take art classes, and drew pictures since I was a little kid. But yeah, I think in 93, graffiti just grabbed me, and I started, getting paint, the ways that we used to get paint back then.
And those ways,
amass, all that stuff. And just hit walls of abandoned structures, canals, freeways, But it really developed into me being a sign painter and muralist, which, I didn't think of at the time.
Sure.
I didn't even say I wanted to be an artist when I grew up, I didn't know, but.
So when you first started in like 1993, how did you start to kind of find your style? Was it just, again, like you had in your mind and you kind of were figuring out a can, or were you?
Oh, no, there were definitely influences. In Phoenix at the time, there were some writers. One, Grimy, I think he's still out in LA, like doing tattoos. Storm. There was the DVS crew was kind of the ones that were really like the top dogs, and just seeing what those guys did. Pushed me. I mean, my style back then was horrible, and I just kind of did what I could. But, through the years, it kind of developed, and now I paint in like a 3D style, which is completely, kind of different from that whole traditional graffiti aspect. But Yeah, I was seeing certain guys just do stuff that blew my mind. Like one Grimy, that writer, he did this whole like 40-foot wall. They're probably like 16 feet tall.
Whoa.
He did it all with a roller fill in and then took cans and lined it out. It was just, to that day, the craziest thing I'd ever seen. It blew my mind, and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do
awesome.
this. Like, I want to get spray paint and spray paint my name on walls. But, it's an art form. I mean,
yeah.
I know a lot of writers can talk for days on how it is like one of the coolest art forms or one of the most contemporary, cutting edge type things. So I agree fully, because it takes a long time to develop, but that's where it started.
Yeah. And so learning your can control and those kinds of things as you were growing up, obviously you start out in canals and you slowly work your way on up. Did you start, as we're looking, Grimy has a little bit more of a wild style, if I could take it? Or
yeah, I think, let me see if I can't even really remember like what his style like was, because it was kind of all over the place. But yeah, Grime with the little thing over it. Yeah, he's one of those just 90s like originators from where it was at that point. So
okay. And so from 1993, how long would you say it took you until you felt like, okay, I'm competent enough with the can to not put these in, say, tunnels and stuff, but to more put them out in a little bit more of public spaces?
It was a little bit of a mix. I think, if I'm being honest, like 2008 or 9.
Oh, wow.
Like that long, because I did a lot of characters and backgrounds and kind of like more picture-y, not so much the letters. I hated trying to, you do it, you like it, and you're like, oh, but it's still not like that good. So like, you don't really want to show it. I mean, I might put it on the freeway, or I might put it in some yards or trains. Trains was a big thing, but once I changed my name, I was writing Think, and then I changed to the one I'm writing now, which, because we got my face on here, I'm not gonna say it, but that one day I just picked up 3 scrap cans and was like, I want to paint 3Ds, and I did it. And then it kind of was born where I kind of knew what I could do and what I wanted to do. And then I think, a couple of short years I was painting in the 3D style, although I think I liked it, but there was never contentment. So like, I mean, just maybe 2015 is where I really got to the point where like, yeah, I want to put this out there in legal walls. So that's kind of where the bridge was. Once I was comfortable, then I just wanted to hit up businesses and say, can I put my name on your wall? I'll paint your sign, because that was kind of the thing that would last longer than regular graffiti. And
right.
Yeah, then it kind of launched into doing signs or murals or.
And so what is that transition like from going from graffiti to sign painting, where everything is a lot more crisp? It has to be a lot more perfect, I guess.
That's kind of what the essence of graffiti was like to me. Like, it should be clean and perfect. If you can sit there and have the time or think, oh, I should do that nice, then you should. Because, I mean, the quality and the style is really what kind of drives the whole thing. So it wasn't a hard transition, because I had that strict regimen of it's got to look nice. The funny thing is it's kind of a slow transition, because little by little I'd be doing more and more and then getting bigger jobs. Then I'm like, well, let me paint a picture, or let me do a portrait, or so it kind of, it was a little bit of a overlap as it went through.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about being discontent. Like, did that transfer to other mediums, and how far into your graffiti writing did you decide, like, let me try some other different ways to express my art?
Oh, I've always done it I've painted canvas. I've always had, multiple avenues of artistic expression. But I think they all kind of go hand in hand, because, the once you're content, I feel like you hit the ceiling. Yeah. And then you don't grow anymore.
Very true.
People ask that question, do you like this one, or how do you feel about it? And I don't want to give them that honest answer of like, well, it's give it a B-, because I may like it at the time and be content, but I still didn't achieve those little points that I wanted to get to. And then there's next time you do a little better, you get a little better each time. So that just kind of, once you are in that mindset, that's how you keep growing. Otherwise,
right. I love that. It allows us to see different sides of you as an artist.
Yeah.
Do you think it's important for artists, whether they're a graffiti artist or a muralist, to have different forms of expression and mediums to practice in?
Definitely. The mind goes there. So, I mean, just to limit yourself and I just draw or I just tattoo or I only use acrylics on canvas. No, I mean, I've started sculpting before I was blowing glass, but that was just like, yes, I made a car out of clay and then we made it a real thing and, you know, stuff like that. So I definitely encourage anybody to get into whether it's poetry, music, you know, any kind of expression is important because the mind is much more rounded than just one, you know, facet of art. So.
And it sounds like by doing those different things, it makes every other medium better.
Yeah.
Because then you can, you know, you're getting to express and have those different outlets.
And I feel like in a way you kind of connect those parts of your mind or your creativity and it kind of, what's the word for it? Synergy, maybe?
Yeah.
Sure, you know?
Sure.
Totally that. I noticed that with your dumpster candles. I thought they were awesome.
Yes.
And
I love those
they're
things.
also tagged too. So it's like you're creating a smaller canvas, you're creating a different canvas, you're paying homage to the canvases that, you know, people who are writing before have done too. So that was very cool to see.
I even wrote a poem about it because they are kind of their own poetry.
Yeah.
But you know that poem, it goes like, I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree. Somewhere I have it. I wrote about a dumpster fire, same verse, like meter and everything, but I
love it.
changed it to dumpster fire because they're poetry too. If you want to be real, I mean, I think nothing embodied that last year better than a dumpster
fire candle. I love it.
And maybe we're in a bigger dumpster fire year this year.
Hey, listen.
It's all the way you look at it too, because I took last year's. That was the worst year of my life, I think, pretty much. Just going through a lot of bad stuff, and that was kind of the one thing that I could push back with, and then it made me feel good. Like, hey, it's a dumpster fire, but it goes out. You know, kind of. In a way, it turned into poetry.
Yeah,
there you
I
go.
love that.
And not to harp on that, but during all of that, did you find art as an escape? And what was your favorite thing to start to work on during these turmoil points, I guess?
If I did not have my studio and if I did not have that ability, I probably would not have made it through.
Right.
It's therapy. It's very much therapeutic to, you know, even what I'm doing right now, just painting wood grain on something that got ruined. It's so peaceful and, you know, like I said, it's medicine and art is for hard times.
I love that.
I think.
Do you have any piece of advice for any other artists struggling and looking for a different avenue or for a different option in their life?
Oh, yeah, I think what I found is do what makes you feel good. If you follow the passion, if you want to do it like that, that's what you need to do. Everything else isn't going to work the same. I often struggle on art projects where I don't have the passion in it. And if I can find it, that's good. Because if I can't, I know I'm just forcing it. It's not going to be good art. And I usually, now I'm smart enough to abandon it. But yeah, to everybody out there like struggling or thinking, you know, just do what you love. And that's the essence of the creative, you know, spark is that you're doing it for you. You're making the art for you. You're doing what you love. And if it makes you feel good, then other people start to pick that up. That's the secret is, you know, like your vibe and your mood and your little message is in the art. So, yeah.
I think kind of in the same vein, like taking that idea of finding things that you're passionate about, walk us through like your creative process, like when you're commissioned to do something from like conception to completion. What are some of the steps that you take?
Usually it's kind of, I think it kind of starts, I just realized this now, but I think it's kind of like I'll sit there for a minute and wait for like what's the message or what's the visual message we're trying to get for. Like, for example, the one we did out at the racetrack, I was like, well, it's racing, it's movement. There's obviously some recognized colors that race car driver, you know, Richard Petty has, but it was I'm looking for something to hit me. I'm looking for inspiration, but it comes through kind of that thought. And then once I have that, it's kind of a thumbnail sketch mock-up time. Just draw it and go
see what
chase
you
it
like.
down until, you know, that you don't like that one anymore. Usually there's a clear front runner type thing.
Sure.
So. And then after that, I think it's kind of depending on who the client is. If there's a little, you know, here's what do you guys think? Some feedback sessions and then some revision. But until that inspiration moment hits, it's hard. Sometimes I'll sit there struggling. I've actually given stuff back like I can't do it. Nothing's coming. And that's where I think I've matured as an artist to understand you got to have that passion in it, or it's not going to be your art. My energy doesn't go into it the same way, and it's not appreciated the same way. If I don't have that and I don't appreciate it at that core, no one else is.
Yeah.
So.
How long did that take for you to come to that conclusion, or for you to realize that?
Many years. I mean, I think I've been doing art more seriously since obviously the 90s, and even into my 20s I did, flyer design and all kinds of, drew pictures and whatever. But I think professionally I was like professional artist, muralist. I counted about 2012, but maybe like 2010. But since then till just a few years ago did I realize that equation,
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the things that we try to teach, or we're always learning about this too, is working with clients when it comes to concepts and rendering, and like exactly what you're saying, like you want a certain thing, here's my creative energy.
It's a development.
So what are some things that you found helpful, like questions to ask clients, or how do you go about that interaction with them, that back and forth you mentioned?
It's kind of dynamic, but I think it goes off of kind of like feeling, or I see what lights up in their, eyes when we're talking, or sometimes it's just like, what if we're derailed or not getting, anything kind of progressing, it'll go to like, well, what kind of emotion do you want to bring up, or what, if it's a landmark, like what do you really want to be standing out about you, things like that. Sometimes it's just out of the box, what's your favorite color, or which color do you like out of this, and then we build it around that, or it's tricky, but I think when you're diligent in finding that inspiration, everybody kind of comes together.
Yeah, I like what you said about, what message do I want this visual piece to portray, and I think that's what it boils down to.
There always is some message,
Right.
whether it's just a simple visual kind of idea, or it makes you feel that way. And the beauty of art is I might have created it with that whole little message in mind, but you get something else out of it too. Or sometimes I just create it and it feels right, and let everybody else kind of determine what it is. But that's usually where the client, when doing stuff for clients, comes into play, because they like this certain thing, and I'm like, well, I like that too. Like, what does it mean? You find it, you discover it at the same time. That's what they call it, developing the ideas, because it's a group, build.
Yeah.
So that's what I say a lot. Like, let's build. What can we build?
I like that.
It comes from that. So
it's good. And what Trent mentioned earlier is we did a collaboration with Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And there's 4 different murals out there. Trent was one of the artists on one of those murals, and it's an homage to Richard Petty. They have kind of a whole, it's the Richard Petty Terrace out there.
Okay.
And it is a killer mural.
Really?
And it is a stunner for sure. So.
And it was built off of an existing sculpture that they have of Richard Petty's classic hat that he would wear after
Cowboy
the
hat.
race. Yeah.
That's really
and
cool.
so after, we provided a picture to Trent of the actual, statue and he pretty much derived some of the elements off of that and made them much cooler, I would say, on the background of it, so that everything is cohesive and so that it all matches together. And so if you have a chance to be out at the Motor Speedway, if you're there for EDC this weekend, we definitely recommend that you go and check it out, because it's a beautiful intersection, I would say, of multiple artists coming together and elaborating on an idea, even though it has no words, no specific things other than his number and a signature down at the bottom.
His classic. It's one of the nicest signatures I think that are out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
It is
just
pretty classic.
a great. One of the challenges was, okay, I can't make the hat disappear. It has to not compete with the hat. But
Right.
I think it just worked perfect, and it's Richard Petty, like, to the core. Just. It was great. That was a fun project.
And so you talked about, you said, let's build together, and I really like that. And I think it's important to note that you can't build anything without a solid foundation. And so can I ask what do you think are some of your foundational pillars as an artist that have really transformed your artwork into the beautiful stuff that we see on Instagram now?
I think a lot of the time, if I'm really looking for some, like, common denominator there, I think it's that I'm working with somebody to try to find that little visual idea or message. Because I'm pretty versatile. I don't do a lot of the same things or style, or, so there's not any one single visual, like, tangible thing, but I think it's that foundationally I have to connect. I have to have that connection with who I'm working with, or the city, or, the project. Why am I doing it? Does it mean something to me? That creates that kind of spark, I think, to start with. Foundationally, we're coming up with all these realizations like on the fly where I'm like, I didn't think of that before. But I think that's it. That without that, I can't create something visually or understand what the message might be or my connection to it. So yeah, that's actually a good question.
I think you've mentioned a couple. We've talked about some work, obviously what you're doing up at EDC. Do you have like your kind of favorite piece of work or something you're most proud of that you've worked on over the last 30 plus years of doing art?
I think every year has one, like where I'm like, that's the top one of the year. What was last year? I'm drawing a blank. I know it's in there. One of my favorite ones that the bar is closed right now is Gambit in Henderson, like on Sunset, right before you get on the hill. That was a huge, like $500,000 build out they did, and I did a lot of little art pieces in there. But the VIP room, I did rattlesnake, Mojave rattlesnake skin stretching around all that, and it was all the scales were representing Nevada geology. So it was like little mineral veins and copper, gold, silver, stuff like that. That was like the coup de grace of that year. I think it was 2022.
Okay.
2023. I hate it when people are like, oh, what's some of the stuff you've done? I draw a blank, and I'm like standing right across the street from one, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'd kind of have to look at my Instagram. I think every year there's a favorite, though, and it's kind of like what I achieved. My skills are honed better and better every year, every project, and every year there's one. So when I first moved here, the Arts Factory, even though I didn't design that motif, like just to be able to execute that with my team and with ISI, that was just like, I was really proud of that. So that was that of that year.
Right.
I painted the Flamingo Pool grill, the guest bar and grill inside just before the Arts Factory too. So that was like another one right off the bat. But there's always that little like, high tide mark of the year.
Yeah.
So
and I think that's a good answer. That's important. Is it just shows that it's like, it goes back to that core philosophy you were talking about of like, just, not getting complacent. It's like, hey, no, this year I like this one for this reason this year. And I think that adds to kind of your whole philosophy that you were going down.
And you keep getting better. So, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't like something you did 5 years ago. That was the best of your career at that point. Right. And I still, acknowledge those and love those projects.
And even ones I think, and I don't know if this is true for you, but there's stuff for us that's like, that mural may not have been like the highest quality thing that we did, but it was a fun project. The clients loved it or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes the impact, is greater than even the time put in or the basic high school one we did with you guys, and the junior high, the horse and the wolves. That was another one just like of that year or that time. Those I'm most proud of just because they looked so good, and I felt, you felt the thing, and
it's like a 30-foot horse with the state of Nevada.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty.
And I picked one because they're the Colts, but then they were like, can you do the red rocks behind it? So I just kind of swapped it out, but it came out. I wanted to do a realistic style, which I'm not as versed in when doing like animals, but everyone's like, that looks like a vinyl sticker. And I was like, I really like that one.
That's cool.
We nailed that one. That was great.
Yeah.
That was fun.
You have some very pinnacle pieces downtown too, especially in places where we're having COVID happening. We've got people who are starting businesses that we're like, wow, I hope this is successful, but we don't know are going to fail. And these are like literally at the corner of some of the main places that we're all hanging out at. And of course, where some of your best artwork is displayed downtown. That's been a huge part of how the city has moved forward, and definitely how art has been shown all over the city. Is definitely the hub down there.
Yeah. I wanted to move right there. I lived on Imperial in Maine. I wanted to move there for that
awesome
reason
area.
because coming from Phoenix, their arts district developed, blew up, and then gentrified everybody out of it. It's gone. And then they had one on Grand Avenue, and that happened there too. And it's kind of just a cycle. And I was like, well, let me get here and try to help influence this neighborhood when I moved out here. And I feel like I am part of that community and
you
part of that
did.
arts district. And now I'm sad that we might lose it soon because it's just going to gentrify. It becomes popular. It's the nature of the game. But I think with platforms like this even, if we can get the message out there that, like, let's keep creatives in the arts district, and then that whole scene doesn't die. Maybe that's why I'm here, to try to like make my mark that way and help influence the city keep that stuff.
Well, I want to say that you've definitely left your mark. How we found you, you were one of the first artists we ever reached out to when we were starting the idea of Graffiti Park. And I'd be remiss not to tell the story, is that Dan and I, for the 3 years from 2016 to 2019, where we were just kind of massaging this idea of what do we do, how do we go, Dan and I would go down to the arts district once a month at least, and we would go and take photos of all of the graffiti and take pictures and show that it was constantly being renewed, refurbished, whatever you want to fill in the words what that was. And your artworks, they stuck out because there was 3 or 4 of them. And after we started taking photos, I think I reached out over an Instagram DM and said, dude, you're amazing. How do we get you more involved? It's funny how, the dominoes all fall, and it took probably 3 years until we were up to where our echelon, I think, was good enough to where we could bring you in, feel confident about that. And so I want you to know, like, it's a really cool story for us, is like, as far as artists go, like, you stuck out to us way before Dan and I really ever knew about anything about the graffiti scene, about Graffiti Park, about any of that. And so I want all our viewers to know that, like, he's an OG. He's been in the game. His murals are up all over throughout the arts district, and now down at the at the EDC Speedway, and all throughout town in a lot of different middle schools. And I want you to know, like, you've definitely left your mark in the city, in Graffiti Park, in our hearts, and hopefully in all the viewers' hearts as well.
For sure.
Thank you. I came here, wanting that. The head of my crew is who brought me out to blow glass, and that's one of the reasons I came out here. But Vegas embraced me so wholly, like, right off the bat, and I felt like, it was a home for me. So
that's cool.
That's awesome.
I'm here. I'm from Vegas now. So.
Yeah,
I love that.
Good to hear.
I love the that story. Like, I'm glad I could be a part of it. That makes me feel great that, I had some impact. If there's anything that my art can do that makes me, the reward is that I impacted somebody.
Yeah.
That it stood out. Somebody saw it. So
that's awesome, man. And we're getting to the end of our episode here. We got a couple minutes left. If people are interested in taking a look at your work or seeing what you got coming up, where can they go and find you?
Right now I'm on Instagram. It's t.larsonart, LARSONART. I have a website too. It's arterialllc.com. It's kind of under construction periodically, so stay tuned, because that is going to get,
looks great.
We're still developing.
Good.
Still great stuff.
Well, and I want the viewers to know as well, you're also a tattoo apprentice right now.
Yep.
Will very soon be a full-time tattoo artist.
Come down to the Inky Dragon tattoo on Flamingo in Decatur, and we'll get you inked up. And I blow glass too. If you check out House of Boro on Instagram, we're on there. It's our glass blowing studio with it's like a collective of artists.
Cool.
So
That's so
I'm
cool.
out there doing all kinds of stuff.
That's so cool. And if you're interested in checking out some of the projects we talked about, all of our projects are on graffitipark.org/projects. You can find Roy Martin Middle School, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Basic High School as well is on there. All those projects we've worked with Trent, so you can check those out. They're also on his Instagram. So
that video was great. The raceway too. That was like one of the best.
yeah, it was a cool one.
That was awesome.
We got some fun media rocking and rolling, but that is about all we have for our episode today. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. If you're looking to find some more information on Trent, it's t.larsonart on Instagram. And then on top of that, if you're interested in finding more about Graffiti Park, you can find us at graffitipark.org or on Instagram at graffitipark_LV. Miss Anika Jones, she's rocking the Roger Federer today. She's
ready to go.
She's
Racquetball.
Ready for pickleball.
She can racket. She
tennis,
can paddle.
all the things.
She's ready to rumble. But thank you all, you cool cats and kittens. Now Kith.
Now, Kiev.